Howdy folks, Little John, how you going? 5 on Friday, 1st for 2022. And I'm going to have a quick chat about simple ways that you can get mineral additions into your brew water, even if you don't understand what bloody water additions are and chemical additions and how it all works. Before I get into that, a big shout out to all the patrons of the channel. Guys, thank you for your support. Subscribers, thank you for your support as well. If you're watching the vids and you like what's going on, hit the like button down there. Give me a thumbs up. These all help the channel. There's links down the bottom for everything. Check them out. Water chemistry, mineral additions, treating your water. The last mystery of home brew. And one that most brewers tend to just avoid because it seems to be too difficult. I get asked a lot of questions about mineral additions, what I do, what people should do, blah blah blah. Are they worth it? Stuff like that. Are they worth it? Yes, without a doubt. My beer has improved considerably, noticeably, since I actually started putting some effort into my water treatment, which has only really been the last 15 months, because I was in the same boat. I didn't really understand it, so it was easy just not to worry about it. I was happy with the beers I was brewing. I was going along all right. I didn't need to worry. But yeah, I found the beers have gotten much better since I started doing it. So what I want to do today, I'm not going to give you a big lesson on minerals and how they work and what they do and how to achieve whatever. All I'm going to do is give you 3 simple ratios and combinations of the 3 major minerals that you can use in certain brews to improve your beer. Okay, there's 3 major chemicals. That's calcium sulfate, which is also known as gypsum, magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salts. You know, stuff you stick in the bathtub to make you feel nice and relaxed when you're having a bath. If you're going to use Epsom salts, make sure it's food grade. It generally is, but just, you know, if it's sold in Woolies in the supermarket as a bath salt, it may not be food grade. So you got to check that. And the other is calcium chloride. Now, calcium chloride you can get as a liquid, or you can get in a powder or in flakes. I started off with it in liquid because that's what my local shop had, because they had it for cheese making, and it was in a liquid form. I've now got it in flakes. But you can get all these, yeah, in small or large bags from pretty much any brew shop will have them. They're easy to come by. There's more chemicals than that you can use, but for keeping it simple, we're just going to stick with those 3. So you add these to your mash water just the same as your Campden tablet or your sodium metabisulfate before you mash in to treat your water. Okay, so depending on what kind of beer you're brewing depends on what amount you want. Okay, and you'll see often talk about ratios, a sulfate to chloride ratio or chloride to sulfate ratio, and that's just obviously the amount of chloride against the amount of sulfate, or vice versa. Okay, because they're your main 2 within your brewing. Okay, Epsom salt generally just brings a little bit of hardness in your water, because in Australia we've got quite soft water, so it's not a bad thing to put a little bit of it, magnesium, into your brew. But it also is really good for your yeast as a yeast nutrient. Yeast really likes magnesium, so it helps to make sure you get a healthy ferment. Okay, so if you want to brew a pale beer, lager, pilsner, pale ale, that sort of thing, where it's light, you've got a more malt focus, and maybe you're wanting some upfront hop bitterness. Yeah, you want to go a sulfate heavy, chloride low. So you're looking more like 3:1 sulfate to chloride. So I would be saying, just as a simple starter, to go something like 4.5 grams of gypsum to 1.5 grams of calcium chloride, and about 1 gram, 1.5 grams of Epsom salt. in those brews, and that's going to get you a nice little level that you're going to notice a difference in your beer if you've just been using normal tap water. If you're looking at your hazy, hoppier brews like your sort of hazy pale ales, NEPAs, that sort of thing, even your softer side of an IPA, then you want to go chloride to sulphate heavy. So, and again, you can be looking anywhere from 3 to 1 up to even 6 to 7 to 1, depending on how heavy that wants to be. I would suggest though, starting out, to be go something about 4 to 1, and I'd be looking at somewhere maybe 6 grams of your calcium chloride to like 1.5 grams of gypsum, and again, you know, a gram of Epsom salt just to bring up the balance. Okay. Now that's going to vary depending on exactly what finish you want, and the more of that calcium chloride you use, the more mineral you're going to taste in the beer. Like so, you know, when you're drinking New England IPAs and some have got that very distinct minerally salty sort of flavour. That's the calcium chloride, and when it gets to a certain level, it starts to become quite noticeable. Down lower, it just makes the hops and the malt nice and soft. But as it gets up, as the level comes up, you'll start to actually notice it in the beer, and you will taste it. And some brews that works quite well. That's fine. You know, some brews it will be up 8 or 9 to 1, that ratio. But I'd suggest sticking down around that mark, 6 to 1.5 to start with. You can work from there. Your dark beers, yeah, dark ales, porters, stouts. You'll even like things like that, big red IPAs, they're popular. I'd be looking at having just a nice balance of your calcium, your sulphate and your chloride, but bringing your magnesium up a little bit, because that will help with your dark beers, just with the pH and stuff. So it will make things work a little bit easier. So I'd be looking at probably somewhere around 2 to 3 grams of each, your chloride and your sulphate, and maybe 2 grams of the Epsom salt as well, to get that nice across the balance on those darker beers. Okay, now they're just starting points, and they're pretty generic, and how effective they are and what they will do is going to vary depending on exactly where you are in the country, what water you're starting with, what your levels are, and exactly what sort of beer you're brewing and where you want to finish at. But working with those numbers within those styles is going to give you a result that's going to be noticeable, and you'll be able to tell what it's done in the beer. Take good records, keep your notes, write down everything that's happened, write down what you did. Compare your beer to previous beer, especially if it's beer you brew all the time. Compare it and see how it goes. How does it finish for you? How does it sit? Do you like what it's done? And play around with it. Yeah, just like hopping in different ways and different grain. Play around with it and see what works for you, what doesn't, see what you like. Again, keeping notes and recording what works and what doesn't. That's going to get you in a good place. The other thing, just quickly with water, lactic acid. As a general across the board rule, again with the softness of the water, it's hard to necessarily get your pH down to where you need to get a good batch pH. So using lactic acid is generally a good thing if you're not using it. Again, just simply putting lactic acid made a difference to my beer. Realistically, you only want about 2 to 3 mil in a 23 litre batch. If you're not understanding exactly what it's doing, and you're not going to be able to look at the numbers and see exactly what it does, I wouldn't be going above 3 millilitres. You go too high and you're going to get a very noticeable effect. And if you go too far, you can start dropping your pH too low, which can have a negative effect on your beer anyway. So 2 to 3 mil in your mashed water. Now throw this stuff in 5 minutes before you're ready to put your grains in, and your water will be fine, be ready to go. Okay, simple, easy. It will make your beer better. And if you play around with it, and if you start seeing what it's doing, then you might start understanding what it looks like on paper, what it looks like on a recipe sheet. But yeah, it's, like I said, it's the unknown. It's the last port of call for improving your beer for most people. It shouldn't be. It's the first thing you're doing. First thing, before you do anything else on brew day, you've got to get water. You've got to make your water before you make anything else. Get it right, then start adding everything else to it. Because at the end of the day, that's what's coming out, that's what you're drinking. So take a little bit of time on brew day, make those additions. Doesn't cost much. You're gonna spend no more than $30 on chemical, which is going to last you for 12 months or longer, depending if you buy bigger packs. Depends. It's going to last you quite a while. Realistically, it might cost you 50 cents a brew for the minerals and the additions, and the improvement way outweighs the cost, and the time that you'll put into it. Okay, guys, that's it. Simple. Any questions, comments down the bottom, as always. I'm quite happy to answer questions. That's it. Patreons, thank you. Links down the bottom, Patreon if you're interested in checking it out. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't hit the like button, and hit the like button. That's me. I'm out of here. Thursday Arvo, I'm going to have another beer or two. But until I see you again, when we're brewing beer, drinking beer, or we talking beer, good brewing. Gab's Hut Top 100 tomorrow. Join me live on Facebook early tomorrow afternoon, and we'll sit down and we'll see what the crazy drunks of this country decided was the best beer. Cheers.